Hand sewing needles, there's such a huge choice. Let's look at a few. There's lots of different hemline needles, so I've got a pack here that's really handy for most different occasions. I have the sharps, hand sewing needles for hemming, sewing on buttons, repairs, etc. Needle threader, absolutely perfect if you want to get through the eye of a very small needle. Embroidery and crewel, so when you've got thicker yarns and you want to do hand embroidery, and the repair kit. So let me start at the beginning. The first one is the sharps. This is the general sharps needle in the mixed pack. Now I want to sew a button on, and so I have got the thread doubled over. Put the needle threader through the eye of the needle, and I'm putting the fold of the yarn through the needle threader, pull it back through, and that is now ready. 4 strands going through, so I can stitch a button on really, really quickly. So I'll just stitch on the spot for a second, just to anchor that thread, and then I can sew the button on in place. With 4 threads going through, so I only need to take it through 2 or 3 times to get the button anchored. So these general purpose needles, these sharp needles, are ideal for most fabric types. They have different size eyes depending on the job in hand. So if you want to sew tiny beads on, you'd use one with a little tiny eye, and of course combine that with the needle threader, and you can sew with any size eye no matter what your eyesight. So that's the button sewn on with a bulk standard needle. Lovely pack of mixed sizes. But I've also got the embroidery crewel needles. Now these have larger eyes. So I've threaded this through with 6 strands of embroidery floss. And so for this needle, again, it's got a sharp point, so I can stitch my embroidery stitches through any fabric. And it was easy to thread. Again, I use the needle threader, but easy to thread because you've got the large eye. And again, you have different size needles, different size eyes in the one pack. So it's easy to do some beautiful embroidery, whatever you're doing. But they're the nice, easy needles. But what about the household needles? Well, let's take a look at those. The household needle pack comes with a selection to repair various things, all neatly labelled. I particularly like these curved needles when repairing things like seat covers. So seat covers, garden chair covers, kitchen chair covers. You can pull the needle through, so you can go from back to front without having to have access to the back of the fabric. So if you can imagine stitching this on a chair cover, I can get from the front, back and up to the front again. So I could easily repair a seam on a chair cover with the curved mattress needle. But sometimes I might want to sew fur fabric, leather, other specialist fabric, and again that same pack comes with a special needle just to do that, fur coats, gloves, leather, etc. So it has, you can't really see necessarily, but it has a flat area on the shaft of the needle which helps you push it through those dense fabrics that aren't woven. So I can just go through. So if I was making or repairing leather gloves, I can just go through with a thick thread. So again, I've used a needle threader to thread it, and it stitches through the thick, dense fabrics very, very easily. A great set of needles for all your hand sewing needs.